Hello again, first graders. It's Mrs. Johnson. This week, our topic is Make It Happen. And our essential question is, how can we work together to make our lives better? This is a very interesting question for our time right now. We know of lots of people who are working hard to keep us safe and to keep our country running the way that we need it to. Hopefully you are finding some helpers in your life too and remembering to tell them thank you. What do you think in this picture these people are working together to do? I'm noticing some paint. I'm noticing a big wall up here. And it looks like maybe paintbrushes in their hands. So what do you think they're doing? Vocabulary words this week. Answer. I know the answer to that question. Brought. We all brought food for the picnic. Busy. The bees are busy making honey. Door. Grandpa met us at the door. Enough. Are there enough seats for all? Eyes. Our eyes and ears help us learn. Demand. People can demand fair pay. Emergency. A fire is one kind of emergency. This week, boys and girls, we're learning how to make the ooh sound. And there are many ways to spell that sound. The ways that we're going to see on our page today in our phonics lesson is the O-O that says ooh, the U that says ooh, the U consonant E that says ooh, EW says ooh, UE says ooh, UI says ooh, and OU. Examples of those are truth, flute, news, clues, suit, and soup. Also cool. So we've got the words moon, June, student, flu, true, fruit, you, room, July, rude, group, chewing. Lucy and a group of friends sat by the pool. Lucy, Sue, and Drew ate fruit. Super, tools, few, new, cool, Lucy, used, useless, rude, soon, juice, Drew, blue, you, room, useful. Repeat after me. Super, tools, flu, new, cool, Lucy, used, useless, rude, soon, juice, Drew, blue, you, room, useful. We've got some endings on our words. Useless, the ending less means without. So this word means without use, useless. And this ending, full, means full of. So in this word, useful would mean full of use. This week's story is a fantasy story. So it's make-believe. It's not real. The story is called Super Tools. How can you work together to make our lives better? Read about how a girl has forgotten writing tools work together to become useful. A few weeks ago, Lucy's mom and dad brought a new computer home. "This is so cool!" exclaimed Lucy. Lucy used the computer all the time. But not everyone was happy about the new computer. Here we see Lucy is writing a letter or writing maybe an email. It says, "Dear Graham, when will you visit us?" Lucy didn't know it, but her writing tools felt sad and useless. One day while she was at school, they had an emergency meeting. "Lucy hasn't used us in weeks," cried the markers. "Can we demand to be used?" asked the crayons. "No, that would be rude." "But we can remind her how great we are," said the pencils. "Yes," they all agreed. "Let's remind her." After school, as soon as Lucy came through the door, she grabbed a glass of juice and went right to her computer. She had to write a report about birds. The writing tools watched and waited, and when Lucy was done, she printed her report. That night, the writing tools got busy. They worked together to make a picture for Lucy. The pencils made a sketch. The markers drew the birds in the tree. The crayons drew the sun in the blue sky. The picture was good enough to frame. The next day was Saturday. Lucy woke up late. Then she went to get her report. Lucy gasped. She couldn't believe her eyes. "Who drew this great picture?" she asked. "Did you draw this?" Lucy asked Mom and Dad. "You know the answer to that," they laughed. "Stop joking. You drew that great picture." That made Lucy think she wished she had drawn it. "It is fun to draw," she said. Lucy hung the picture in her room. Then she took out her pencils, crayons, and markers. "I'll draw my own picture for my report," she said. Lucy and her pencils, crayons, and markers worked together. They drew a super picture. From that day on, Lucy kept drawing, and the writing tools felt happy and useful. So how did Lucy's writing tools work together to become useful again? If we think back in the story, way back to, they decided they could not demand for Lucy to use them, but they could show her how great they are. So they made a plan, right? And their plan was to create a picture that went along with Lucy's report to make her see that her writing tools were still very useful. There's that ending, full. Remember, it means full of. So useful means they are full of use. This week we're talking about the theme. The theme is the big idea or message of the story. We can look for clues or find evidence, sort of like a detective does. When you're reading a story, we can find clues that will help us to understand the theme. One of the clues that we could find is that the pencils made a sketch. The markers drew the birds in the tree, and the crayons drew the sun in the blue sky. So the theme then, if those are all of our clues, is that the writing tools worked together to make their lives better. What can you do to work together with others in your house to make the situation we're in right now be a little bit better? I'm thinking you could definitely help Mom and Dad around the house. Maybe you could do the dishes or help them put the dishes away. Or maybe you could pick up your room. What other things can you think of that you could do to work together with your family to make being at home a little bit better? Write about it in your writing journal or send a message in Seesaw to your teacher about what you thought of that you could work together at home with your family to make being at home a little bit better. See you next time.